G'day everyone, it's Slippery Mongoose here again, and today we're going to change our handlebars. If you watched my previous video, you'll see I've changed my steering head bearings up here, and while everything's hanging down here nice and easily, I'm going to take all this off and reconstruct everything from the top. So to bring up the speed I've done so far is loosened off my master cylinder here, just 2 bolts, and then taken off my throttle linkage, and all that is just 2 really Phillips head screws, 3 if you count this one here. I'm not really sure if it's going to do anything, but it came out anyway. And now we're going to move over to the other side and take off our clutch perch and our indicator linkage, etc. over there. While we're at it, I'm going to change my clutch perch to an SV651 so I can mount my shorter levers to it. So right now we're going to remove our bar end mirrors, like so. Well, these are my bar end mirrors, you obviously won't have any. If you have a standard bike, in which case you'll just remove your bar end weight with Phillips head screwdriver, I believe, if memory serves me correct. And now we'll get on to removing our clutch perch right here. And then we'll move on to taking off our switches. So right now we're going to take our 8mm socket right here on our clutch perch. I've already pre-loosened it, and we're just going to unscrew it. And with a little bit of coaxing, you may want to remove your safety switch screws. Just having a look here, there's nothing else. It's keeping this thing on. Oh, I see. Now I've just discovered we'll probably have to take off this switchgear first. So let's do that. Okay, so now we have to remove our switchgear, just 2 Phillips head screws like so. Thankfully, I have my handy battery drill here, which makes the job a whole lot easier. So we take those off, and they should all come off. I'll do this all off camera because you need 3 hands to do this. Right, so it seems we've come against some pretty stubborn grips here, so rather than try and wrestle with them, I'm just going to cut them off. Okay, so a little trick we're going to do here, you'll notice on your original bars that you have these holes in here where your indicator switches go, and the kill switch and the start switch. There's one on each side. So when you put the new handlebars on, you'll probably want, depending on what bars you get, you probably want your switches to be in the roughly the same position. Now the problem you may run into is you may not be able to get the switches exactly where you want them. So what I'm going to try is sit the bars inside the clamps and have them sitting at about 90 degrees in relation, what we got here, just in relation to the clamps, so sitting like that. And then to take note on what where the hole actually is. So on my original bars here, it pretty much looks like the hole's at the 12 o'clock position. So when it comes time to mocking up everything on the new bars, I'll sit my new bars in here. I'll set them so that they're at 90 degrees with all the bending here, and that way I'll know that if I drill a hole straight in the top there, where I want my switches and everything else to go, when I rotate the bar down to where I feel it's going to be comfortable to use, I'll be happy that they'll be roughly in the right place. So this is just a quick comparison shot between my old bars that are on the bottom and the new bars that are on the top. It's very important to make sure that your grips on the ends of the bars, they're long enough to take all the stuff off the original GS. So as you can see, the sweep angle is a lot less. Hopefully they'll give me a better feel on the bike. Righto, so I've got my new handlebar, just loosely mounted. Everything's not tightened down, but we're just getting general positioning of all the switchgear here. So I've mounted the bar so that, as you can see, not too far from here, it's pretty much sticking up at 90 degrees. So I'm happy with that. The clamps give it a different look, but it is pretty straight to 90 degrees. So I've got the throttle tube and the kill switch and the starter switch here, all just loosely sitting there. So I'll throttle out on the edge here, usually where it goes, so I'm happy with that position. So if you come in here, and we just open this up, on the side here, you'll see that little nub there. That's what we have to drill our hole for. So what we do is just roughly put our switchgear together where we want, and then peer in at the 12 o'clock position. That's about where we want. And I'm just going to stop this now and mark where I want my hole to go with my pen. And as you can see, this little dot here, that's the mark I made in front of the little nub, and the X is where I actually am going to drill. Alright, so now we're going to drill our hole. I've just got a small drill bit here. That's going to be our pilot hole. And I'll just drill this off camera here. I won't be able to show you guys because, as usual, I need 3 hands. And that's our throttle tube and switches installed. Just saw the shots of me tightening everything up, and I got to say that that trick of judging where the hole was based off your old handlebars worked out pretty well. The throttle and the switches all fall to hand very nice and easily, which I like. And the other great advantage is too, if you can know where the hole's going to be on both sides, both your switches are going to line up nice. So when you sit on the bike, you know, I know if things aren't quite right on the bike, you know, something's out of line, it can bug you a little bit. You know, some people could be like that. For me, I might just be a little bit OCD here, but you know, it's nice to see when things line up. Righto, so now we're going to move on to our clutch side. So what I've done is taken my new grip here. It's a nice squishy foam grip. So I'll see how this goes in dealing with some of the vibrations that you get on the GS. So we're just going to slide our grip on to where we want it on our bars, and then taking our indicator and headlight and choke and horn cluster. It's a little bit more difficult to see. I'll see if I can get down here and clean this up a little bit. Like that. And we might need a bit of light. Okay. So we can just see the little nub there. And so again, oh, there goes my pen. So we can just see it there at the get around here a bit more, at the 12 o'clock position more or less. So anyway, we'll go ahead and mark that, and the same process as the other side. We'll go and drill it and screw it together. So I made a little bit of mess of things, but sort of right in the middle of those X's there, that little bit of chrome you can see, that's about where I want my hole. Now what I've done is I've taken my grip off, because we're going to need to fit our clutch perch. But what I've done is left probably about a 5mm gap in between the actual grip itself and the switch gear. Just, if I change grips later on, if I go back to plastic grips, just so there's that little bit of space there, and everything should fit up nicely in the future. Okay, so our hole's drilled, and I just want to show everybody a little trick that sort of helps things out here. Might save you getting a splinter later on. When you drill through metal, if you just lightly run your finger over, don't jam your finger in there for God's sake, you'll notice it's got a fairly rough edge around there, and you probably, if you're like me, you wouldn't want that sort of rough edge on the plastic here. Could do some damage, etc. So what we've done here, just got a larger drill bit here. So what we're going to do is just put that in the hole like that, and like so. And we've created the perfect little chamfer for a hole, taken all the rough edges off, made things nicer for us. So it's a good little trick whenever you drill a hole in any sort of metal, really. Just to put just a tiny little chamfer in there, and stop any jagged edges. It could stop people cutting themselves, etc. Alrighty, and that's our clutch side switches, all bolted in very nicely. So now we've got our positions right where we wanted things. We'll go ahead now. We'll slide our clutch perch on. For this, I'm actually changing my original GS500 clutch to an SV650 clutch perch. It's off a 99 model, so it still has the stem here in case you're still running standard mirrors. And yeah, and that allows you to have the very nice and flash adjustable levers. And just a little tip and trick: if you're having problems with cabling, etc. on either side, a little trick you can use is remove your headlight and just unplug all the wiring. Pull it out through the bottom of your headlight here. Pull it out through the bottom, and that way you can maneuver all your clutch perch and everything, and make sure that when you put it all back together, everything goes back in the right place. So here I have my SV650 clutch perch. As you can see, the hole on the top here, and I've utilised the clutch cable adjuster that came with the perch. And it's just a simple, straightforward matter of taking out your clutch safety starter switch, and it goes fits straight into the SV unit, and it's pretty much the same as installing a new clutch lever. And now it's just a case of putting the clutch perch over the end of the bar here, and sliding him on into position. Let's get up here a bit. And so from here, just hold it in place here. You'll have you can actually reuse your original 8mm head bolt here if you want, or you can go to a new fastener. So we just put that on, and next we'll be putting on our switchgear in its proper place, and we'll be putting our grip on. And here's our perch and our switchgear all back in place. So just right here, press and pull everything, make sure everything works, is nice and smooth as it should be. Clutch a few pulls, make sure you're happy with that, and we'll go ahead and install the grip. And we just install our grip. You can use a bit of grip adhesive if you like when you install your grips. I've been told sort of don't bother using it. I've even been told you could even use hairspray. It sort of acts as a lubricant when the grip goes on, and then as an adhesive to keep the grip there. But these slid on there with a little bit of effort. They're not going to move from there. And that's pretty much the entire job done. All that's left to do now is to install the master cylinder and tighten those bolts down, tighten your clutch perch down, reinstall your mirrors if you have them, and then adjust your bars and tension down your caps here. And then if you've taken your wiring out, as I have, we need to run that back into the headlight and reconnect everything. And now we just reinstall the master cylinder into its place. Check that it just falls nicely to hand when you're on the throttle. Very nice. And at this point also, you may want to also reinstall your mirrors. I've got bar ends in my GS, but obviously if you look up here, if you've got normal stock mirrors, you'll just screw those back on. Okay, so now what we're going to do is position our bars where we want them to get them nice and even in the clamps, and then do up our clamp bolts. The Haynes manual says between 8 and 12 Newton meters for your pinch bolts, here and here. My torque wrench doesn't go down to that level. The smallest you can go is 20 Newton meters, so that's what I'm going to do the bolts up to. And that's that done. Handlebars right where I want them. Righto. So with that done, we're pretty much done here. The job itself pretty much took me maybe an hour and a half of mucking around to sort of change everything over. It was done over a course of a couple of days, just purely for my work and everything else got in the way. But just finally check everything's screwed together, everything is sitting nicely, all the wires are hooked up, etc, etc. And yeah, you got yourself a nice new flash set of handlebars. So this is Slippery Mongoose. Thanks for watching, and for any more GS500 related information, go to gstwin.com.